We've just confirmed Jefferson City Police are investigating a shooting that sent one man to the hospital. Marissa, we're a few hours into this investigation now, but it's still an active scene. You can see the crime scene tape is still up here behind me. Some residents who live along Aldea Avenue tell me they don't even like to use this crosswalk. Take a look at this video taken by Speedboat Magazine today. One of the boats crashed on the track near mile marker 31. The atmosphere here, I feel like I'm at a Super Bowl watch party. That's kind of what it feels like here. Lots of chants from the crowd as they monitor the presidential election results. Nelson's tree service appeared dark and deserted this afternoon. Crews out monitoring the road conditions tonight. We'll get out to ABC 17's Joe McLean in just a minute. But first, let's go to ABC 17 Storm Track forecaster Bridget Mahoney, who's been tracking this all for us. And Bridget, what areas are seeing the most snow right now? Here's a look at the car Phelps was driving as he led Marys County deputies on a high-speed chase early this morning. Today, Target Masters CCW instructor Jim Hill gives me a crash course in training. He says classes are filling up 8 weeks in advance. Right now, firefighters are on the scene of a house fire in southwest Columbia. But making sure everybody stays safe starts hours before the first whistle blows. Bomb-sniffing dogs search every row and seat inside the stadium. A man is behind bars tonight after he was arrested in connection to a Boone County shots fired incident. How do you get your valuables into the law enforcement's database? Go to reportit.leadsonline.com. This is where you can type in your item's make, model, and serial number, and even upload a picture to help authorities quickly track it down. What started as a walk home for several MU students Tuesday night ended as a disturbance outside the Delta Upsilon fraternity house after reports of racial slurs from a group of white students.
Well, a lot of times it comes down to he said, she said. According
to the police reports, the black students followed the group to the DU fraternity house, where shouting continued from both sides. Several officers say they didn't hear any more racial slurs coming from the fraternity members, but say they did hear some other inappropriate phrases from the black students. It took 8 officers to cool off the situation.
We determined that there was no hate crime that occurred. There was no crime that occurred at all.
Lieutenant Kevin Rogers with the MU Police Department says because the racial slurs weren't used in a threatening manner, it's considered hate speech, but not a hate crime. He says these reports are concerning and sometimes hard to investigate.
We don't really know what people are thinking. We don't know what biases they have or what leads them to let those out and act out towards another individual.
I thought it was over with, but it wasn't.
Last year, University of Missouri students protesting the racial climate at the Columbia campus caught the eyes of people across the nation.
Like at a place that is crumbling, you can it's a place to build new foundation.
But that didn't stop some students from coming to Mizzou for their education.
I didn't want to just go to college and a different college and try to escape it, because I know in the real world I can't just escape it.
But again, reports of racial slurs shouted at black students. Last night, university police were called to the Delta Upsilon fraternity house to help de-escalate the situation.
Just kind of seems like, I've only been on campus for a month, and it just seems like it's a reoccurring thing.
So we've worked hard since last January to try to understand these issues, unpack them, meet with various groups that are at the sort of the edges of our community, to tell them we care about them and to bring them back into the center of our community.
This afternoon, the fraternity was placed on suspension by the university and its national organization. In a statement today, DU's executive director said racism and sexism have no place in our fraternity.
You know, you're not better than any other person. You don't have the right to belittle them. And even no matter how you were raised, that's just, a code of decency.
Up to texts and stuff from everyone, just saying, hey, did you hear what happened? And
last night, MU's Alpha Chi Omega sorority had an uninvited visitor make his way inside the house.
Actually, he followed a girl and was trying to videotape her putting in a code, but then he realized it was a fingerprint, so he scooped behind her and ran up to the 3rd floor, which is the floor that I'm on.
That man was 23-year-old John Taylor. Court documents say when he was inside the house, he spray painted the letters GMS on the air conditioner.
We have cameras in there, so we were able to review it and then get a good close-up shot of him.
The girls tell me he was looking for one of their sisters inside, but say Taylor is a complete stranger to the entire house.
We have a fingerprint system at all the doors to get into the house, and then we have cameras.
Rebecca and Elena say they still feel safe sleeping inside the house tonight, but their friends are looking out for them.
My friends got me mace just in case something would happen in the future. So, I mean, it's always good to just take precautions. You never know what's going to happen.
Veteran Boone County Clerk Wendy Noren says her office received dozens of calls this week from residents about a strange letter in the mail saying they weren't registered to vote.
I worry about the election and fraud.
For Columbia resident Cheryl Brewer, the letter was addressed to her daughter, who hasn't lived in Boone County for nearly 20 years. She sent it back to the clerk's office with a note inside.
Well, I just thought it was an awfully old list, and I guess I didn't really think about it being in a fraudulent way so much, but I did question it.
Earlier this month, the nonprofit Voters Participation Center sent out more than 300,000 of these letters to Missouri residents using commercial mailing lists. But some of these people were already registered to vote, or they were children, or weren't even alive anymore. In a statement today, the organization apologized for the mistake, but only for including the wrong registration deadline date on some of the letters. Noren says she's worried this confusion will turn people away from voting in November.
I can assure you, every county clerk, every election official in the state is watching these forms very closely to make sure we don't get any erroneous registrations on here.